Good morning. You guys ready? We are beginning our study, our exploration of Robert Brumet's book today, Birthing a Greater Reality, a guide for conscious evolution. And this book is just rich with insights about ourselves, about the world, the time in which we're living, and probably most importantly, how to be on the leading edge of conscious positive change. And so there are 6 chapters in the book. So for the next 6 weeks, we will be exploring the wisdom in each. There is a book study that accompanies the talk series, and you have a choice of either in person or via Zoom. And we'll share more details about that later. So let's take a nice deep breath and dive into this. Dive into this together. All right, so our planet and everything on it has been evolving for the past 4.5 billion years, roughly, and has gone through enormous radical change over the eons. And then about 2 million years ago, human-like creatures who stood upright appeared, Homo erectus. And then we evolved from there. And about 200,000 years ago, we evolved into Homo sapiens. And about 100,000 years ago, we stopped evolving physically, and we shifted from a biological evolution to a conscious evolution. So when you think about it, we have looked pretty much the same as our relatives 100,000 years. I mean, it's wild to think about 100,000 years ago. We haven't physically changed much. I think we kind of had stronger jaws, because meat was tough. And we had a more prominent brow ridge. I'm guessing because we didn't have sunglasses. And I covered it over. Right? Had to have been. So physically, we have remained the same, but our consciousness has changed. Our minds have grown, which is why, despite the fact that we don't have big claws or sharp teeth or the ability to grow a woolly coat in the winter to keep us warm or the ability to run fast, despite the lack of those things, we have survived because we've used our brains to figure out how to protect ourselves, how to hunt, how to grow crops, not just survive, but thrive. And at some point in our evolution, and we'll probably talk about in the next few weeks when that might have been, we became aware that we're aware. We became aware that we are aware, which, when we did, began the big mystery of life. So to give you a sense of what I mean by this, take a moment, close your eyes, and become aware of your breathing. Don't change it, just be conscious of your breathing. The breath in, the breath out. The breath in, the breath out. You are consciously aware of your breathing, so it's an object in your consciousness. That means you're not your breath. Now, bring your awareness to your body. Feel your body, what's tight, what's comfortable, what's uncomfortable, really. Feel your physical body. If you're aware of your physical body, that's an object in your consciousness. You're not your body. Now, Bring awareness to the thoughts in your mind. What are you thinking right now? Where are your thoughts leading you? Where are they leading you now? Your thoughts are an object in your consciousness. You are not your thoughts. So if you're not your thoughts, if you're not your body, if you're not your breath, then that means you are the one observing these things. You were the witness observing this phenomena. You are the observer. What is that? Okay, open your eyes. And so from this mystery, art, music, dance, storytelling, myth, spirituality emerged. And at some point, or gradually, we became aware that we might just be more than just our physical body, more than just our mind. Right? So as we have been evolving within our species, within our own species, we have affected everything around us. We've affected everything around us and the planet itself in beneficial and not so beneficial ways. Right? As Brumet says in the book, as we advance in consciousness, we are advancing the evolution of all of life on Earth. As we advance in consciousness, we are advancing the evolution of all of life on Earth. And you think about it, species have had to adapt because of the changes that we have precipitated in the planet. Some species have gone extinct, right? And so, as most of us know, we are at a critical point because of all the changes that we have triggered in our environment. And we can go one of two ways. We can go one of two ways. We can either, succumb to kind of what's happening, and the way it looks right now, it looks like we're headed for our own self-destruction. But that's not a given. It's not a given. In fact, the time is ripe for a quantum leap in consciousness that will propel humanity in a positive direction. The time is ripe for an awakening. For an awakening. Do you feel that? Which way we go will be determined by us, by our willingness to take the next step in our conscious evolution, which is to allow the highest divine self to emerge. Our willingness to do the work of awakening from that deep sleep of separation. Our willingness to do the work of healing our own wounds, of offering compassion to ourselves and others. As Brumet says, there is an inextricable link between our personal healing and global transformation. An inextricable link between our personal healing and global transformation. Wow. So it's that link we're going to be exploring the next 6 weeks. So, we spiritual beings, and we talked about this many times before, spiritual beings in a human form have an amazing opportunity. We have an opportunity to know ourselves as both a physical being living in a physical universe on this beautiful blue-green marble of a planet, and at the same time know ourselves as eternal spiritual beings. And just kind of dance between those two aspects of our being. What a profound opportunity. What an amazing time to be alive in this particular moment in our evolution. To be alive and aware of this. Now, of course, most people aren't yet aware of their spiritual self, their highest spiritual self. For most people, the physical three-dimensional world is the only reality, right? That's the truth for most people. And you think about it, and it feels a bit of a handicap to just be aware of one aspect of your being, in particular the smallest aspect, the limited, separated self. Kind of like hopping around on one leg with both hands tied behind your back and blindfolded. Really a handicap to just be aware of one side. But the realization of the fullness of who we are, that is our destiny. There's no question about it. That is, for all of us, our destiny. And some writers kind of write about this poetically, this place that we are with both aspects of our being. And they say that humanity is somewhere between the lowest beasts of the earth and the highest angels of heaven. And you can see throughout history, we have explored both aspects of our being, right? Sometimes we have soared like angels. Humanity has done so much good in the world. We have loved and cared for people. We have come up with advances in science and technology that has eased human suffering around the world. We have extended life, a healthy life. We have come up with expressions of art that have inspired us, made us think, expanded our consciousness, helped us perceive differently. And then, at other times, throughout history, we have behaved lower than the beasts of the earth. We have worshiped power and money and religion and ideology above all else. And that has created so much suffering in the world. Truly a demonstration of man's inhumanity to man. And it's like we kind of wobble back and forth. Brumet says, we have overdeveloped knowledge and underdeveloped wisdom. And we have created external wealth and internal poverty. Right? And I would add to that, we have an overdeveloped desire to acquire and an underdeveloped desire to express compassion. And you see that reflected in our times. It always blows me away to think about that little tiny 1% of the population that owns 40% of the wealth. The top 1%, as Bernie would say. Top 1%. Right? There's Bernie. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Dana and I always have this running joke. Soup! I want soup! Not that he ever says it, but it sounds like something he would say. I don't know. We love Bernie. So, we human beings are capable of so many extraordinary things. Look what we have done. In the space program, the Hubble telescope, the Webb telescope. We are capable of extraordinary things, truly limitless in what we can create. The human mind is an evolutionary miracle. The problem is, if we're using only the mind, we can create a lot of things that can create a lot of suffering for a lot of people. Because we're leaving out the other part of the miracle, which is the human heart. The human heart. So both things really have to work together. The human heart, the miracle of the human heart, and the miracle of the human mind. And when both things are working together, wow, that's when we create the beautiful inventions and services that can help so many and really propel us on that next level of our evolution. So what's it going to take to own that other part of our body, the other part of our soul, the other part of our self? We can't even acknowledge that it's an essential part of who we are. We routinely dismiss love as weak, our heart as overly emotional. We think of spirituality as something you do just on Sunday morning. Or for some people, it's just for theologians to discuss spirituality. Or some people feel that all they need to do is confess that Jesus is their Lord and Savior, and they don't need to do anything else. Everything else is taken care of. Right? What's it going to take? Now, fortunately, as I've talked about before, we have a divine drive within us to awaken. Everybody does, a divine drive within us to grow and evolve. That is that highest divine self within us that is always seeking to emerge through and as us and express its magnificence through and as each one of us. That is a real thing. The thing is, it is competing with another drive within us, which is that drive to stay the same, to hold on to old ways of doing things, old ways of thinking about things, even if it's not working, because it's comfortable, right? It's something familiar. It's something we know. It's comfortable. Holding on to the ego, right? So we've got these two competing drives. And it does seem like whenever there's an exponential growth in consciousness. Do you ever feel like this? It feels like there's a tipping point in enough people becoming spiritually aware. When we're opening up to the subtle realms and we're exploring our spirituality, we're exploring love, we're becoming more inclusive, we are embracing all, we're sharing, we're caring, we're compassionate. There seems like whenever there's this huge quantum leap, that there is an equal and opposite reaction. And a large percentage of people just want to draw back into the old way of being. Regress back into the old way of thinking, the old way of doing things. In my little tribe. But I regress back where I have a clear distinction between good and evil. I see things black and white. The old way of seeing, which breeds fear of differences. So you see that kind of push-pull There will be a birth of the next level of our conscious evolution. That is a given. There will be. The question is, will it come with a cataclysmic Armageddon? Or will it be a natural cosmic childbirth, as Robert Brumet puts it? A natural cosmic childbirth. How to facilitate that natural cosmic childbirth is really the subject of this book and of our study, our book study. How to facilitate that. And it's a process, he says. It's a process that we can't will to happen, but we can't prevent it either. Which is kind of weird to think about, wrap our minds around, right? Because we're used to thinking in terms of doing or not doing, being active or being passive, giving or receiving, subject or object. We're used to thinking in those terms. And he says in the book, but the evolutionary impulse, the cry, he calls it, is done neither by us or for us or to us. It is done through us. We are instruments of it and for it. In this process, we are simultaneously active and passive, subject and object, seed and fruit. We are both Alpha and Omega. Ooh, I heard that reflected in the meditation this morning. We are both Alpha and Omega. We are not a thing, we are a process. We are not a noun, but a verb.
Human being.
Yeah. Interesting, huh? To open up to that different way of perceiving this and ourselves. And even though we can't make it happen, it does require our consent. The natural cosmic childbirth requires our consent. We must be willing to do a little surrendering. Surrendering our attachment to the way things have always been. Surrendering our old ways of doing things, our old ways of thinking about things. Surrendering our hold on the ego, the small separated self. Surrendering to a larger vision that is trying to emerge here. So some of you know that the board just went on this retreat. All the board with the two new board members and myself and a Unity minister who facilitated the retreat. We went on this retreat at the beach. Beautiful location. It was raining the whole time. That's okay, we had a lot of work to do, so we were in there visioning. We were visioning about the direction of Unity Center of Peace. And really using Michael Beckwith's visioning process, which he says, you're catching a vision. I want to catch a vision for what wants to manifest, what wants to emerge, Spirit's idea of the direction of Unity Center of Peace in the next year or so. Catching that vision. So some beautiful things emerged. Some beautiful ideas and images emerged. But what was really surprising was what was emerging was a different way of doing things. Not the what, but the how. Different ways of thinking about things. In fact, kind of a reinvention of how we do things here. And while that was exciting, at the same time, it was a little scary. What? What do you mean we've always done it this way? Come on. I've been here a long time. We've always done it this way. It's uncomfortable to step out. And I know that when we implement these changes, it's going to be even more uncomfortable. That's when we need to remember to surrender to that larger vision that is seeking to emerge and step out in faith that will propel us into that next phase of our evolution here, of the potential. So this week, I want you to think about areas of your life that maybe have gotten a bit stale. Maybe you've done the same thing the same way for a long time. You've thought about the thing the same way for a while. Maybe you're holding on to a way of being, a way of thinking about things. And see if when you think about, I wonder what else is here. And meditate on the possibility of something new being born. What would make me come alive? You know, what would help propel me into my next level of evolution? My next phase that is trying to be birthed through and as me. And we will take this step, this next step together. Because remember, as we do our own work, personally, it's also collectively. It's also the whole of humanity, right? So you ready to do this adventure together? Yes? Yay! All right. I'm gonna stay. Let's do it. Hi, it's Rev Victoria here. I'm at Unity Center of Peace with our house band, Bright Matter.
Hello.
Yeah, and if this video has inspired you or empowered you or opened your heart, opened your consciousness, or even just given you hope, we ask that you support what we're doing here by making a donation today, going to unitychapelhill.org or clicking the link below. And we thank you.
Thank
Thank you.